think it's coming from here, and I don't think it's oil.
I just seem to be having a lot of problems with vans at the minute, and I can't seem to catch a break. Oh, I got something in my eye. It works perfectly. Oh, that was absolutely awful. Right, welcome back to the channel. If you remember, in my last video, I bought this cheap Luton van as a non-runner for my business, in the hopes of getting it fixed up nice and cheap and having a good, solid, reliable workhorse for my business to go alongside the little transit van. So in the last video, I explained that I bought this van for £4,500 as a non-runner. I was told that the battery was flat because the alternator needed replacing, and it had been sat for the last 6 months. So I bought it on a little bit of a gamble. Now in the last video, I had it recovered, got it taken to my mechanics. They've given it a full service and replaced the alternator, and it is now back with me. Now I've done about 400 miles in this van this week. So it's enough time for me to tell you the other little problems that it's got, because it does have more problems than what I was told. Now the very first problem that I found with this Peugeot van is the gearbox. Now it's quite a common problem with these gearboxes as well, that reverse is a little bit hard to find. Sometimes you have to put it into first and then go into reverse, because trying to find reverse on its own, yeah, it's a little bit difficult. But not only that, it makes a little bit of a crunching noise when I go from gear 3 down into gear 4. Now in these gearboxes, there's a little synchro between some of the gears. So between gear 3 and gear 4, there's a synchro, and that's sort of like a little clutch. What that synchro does is it matches the speeds of the gear before you change. Now if the synchro's knackered, then the gears don't really have time to match speed before the change, so you get a bit of a crunching noise like that. The reason I know it's that is because if I'm driving, I'm in 3rd gear, and I drop it down into neutral first, let the revs drop down to about 1000 RPM, then go into 4th, there's no noise whatsoever, so I know it's not the actual gear, it's that little synchro in between the gears. Now having a gearbox problem isn't actually the worst of it, to be honest with you. The worst of it is still to be investigated. Now yesterday when I left the customer's house, I received a message saying there's oil on my driveway, you might want to check your van for leaks. Straight away my heart just dropped, because I've had oil problems before with my transit van leaking everywhere and having multiple oil leaks with that, so I know how much of a pain in the arse they can be. I've not had a chance to investigate it yet. I brought my little ramps down to the allotment. I'm going to get the van up on the ramps and we're going to have a look to see if I can find where this oil leak is coming from. And they're a little bit corroded. They've got quite a lot of surface rust on them, so it's going to be bit risky trying to drive my van onto them, but I think I'm going to have to, because there's not enough bloody clearance for me to get under there. With transit van I used to be able to at least sort of crawl underneath it. With this one there's just no clearance whatsoever. The only option I've got is either stick it up on a curb somewhere or use the ramps. Now I appreciate when I get under here, I'm probably not going to be able to get my camera under to show you. So I'll bring my phone and I'll video what I can see from that. At least I can get under it now. There's not an awful lot of clearance. If my nose was like any bigger, I'd be fucked. I can see a little bit of oil residue here. I'm going to have to get further under. This is not a nice place to be. Not a nice place to be at all. Let me get out and go under the other way. Now I'm not usually claustrophobic, but that was absolutely awful. I think I can slide under a bit better at the front. I can see a lot of oil. Okay. A lot of oil here. Lots and lots of oil here. Now it's extremely difficult for me to show you anything because there's not much room, but this part here is absolutely coated in oil. Now being underneath here, I can't even identify which part of the bloody engine that is.
I'm hoping to God it's not the rear seal, the rear crankshaft seal. Oh, it's warm under here. Right, that I think is the turbo, and I cannot see any oil around the turbo or around any seals around the turbo, which is good and bad news, because I suppose it means it's not the turbo. If it's not the turbo pipes or the turbo, the chances is it's going to be the rear crankshaft seal, which is a much more expensive fix. And to do the rear crankshaft seal, you have to take the gearbox and clutch out as well, I believe. So that would mean I might as well do the gearbox at the same time. This van's going to become expensive, innit? This cheap Luton van doesn't turn out to be so bloody cheap after all. I need to see if I can get out of here. Jesus Christ. But let's just hope I'm wrong and it's not that rear crankshaft seal, because that's probably the most expensive thing it could be. I just need to figure out how I'm going to pay for the bloody thing now. The thing that's really annoying is I'm already invested into this van, and I've already spent bloody £4,500 on the van itself. It's had the service and the alternator change, which came to £480. But not only that, when I come to use the tail lift, the hydraulics, that bit was working, but this flap wouldn't move. It was seized in this position. So I had to take the tail lift for a service, and now it works perfectly. But it did cost me another £240 for that. So where does that leave us? £4,500 for the van, £480 for the service and alternator, and £240 for the tail lift serviced. Off the top of my head, I think that's £5,240. So before I panic and think that the Peugeot van definitely does need £2,000 spending on it, I think the first step is to go to the tip and get it emptied, because it's full of waste. And then I want to go get it parked up on a curb somewhere a little bit higher than the other curb, somewhere a little bit private, and then I can get underneath it with some brake cleaner, give that engine a really good clean, because once the engine's clean, it'll be a hell of a lot easier to identify where the oil leak actually is. I just quickly want to check how much oil is actually in it, because then I'll know how bad the leak is. I ain't got a tissue, so I'm just going to clean it with my gloves. Now there's definitely oil on that. And I've actually got an oil level indicator inside the cab, and that tells me it's 4 out of 5. So for now, I think I can still keep driving it, providing I just keep topping it up with oil and don't park on any more customers' driveways, because I don't want to leave any stains. Time to offload all this wood. Tell you what, you've got to be agile when you're doing waste. I know there's going to be loads of you whinging. That's a good shed, I'd have had that. Too late, I'm afraid. This shed is absolutely massive. Now this bed frame's heavy. Never ending. Bit of scrap metal. It's a bit warm at the back of here. Didn't realise I had so much wood in here. Oh, I got something in my eye. Oh, nearly done. Oh, that is it. That is all the wood cleared. All done. And now that the van is empty, it's probably going to be a little bit safer to get it up in the air and get under there and give it a really good clean. I didn't particularly want to do that whilst there was about a ton in the back of it, but now that it's empty it should be a little bit safer to do it. There is only one problem though. I don't think there's enough clearance to do that. It's going to be very, very tight and I don't really want to rip my front bumper off. So, I've got a solution. And before you think, oh, that looks like a good idea actually, Sam, wait till you see the other side. It's a little bit sketchy to say the least. But I think that'll work. I'm going to get my missus to guide me on because I can't see from when I'm inside there. But I think that should be alright, shouldn't it? Now I only need one side to hold. I remember when I got underneath my Transit to clean all that, I tried doing this on bricks and some of the bricks come flying from underneath the wheel, but one side stayed up and I could still get under, so let's give this a go and see what happens.
You got to shout, I can't hear you. We weren't even on. More power, more power. Stop. Wait, a bit more forward. You're on. You need to come a bit more forward. Stop.
Well, that actually worked out a lot better than what I thought it would. Sure, it was definitely a bit sketchy, but she's in the air. I mean, he's in the air. Big Baz in it, so he's in the air, and I've probably got about a foot of clearance now. I can definitely get underneath there and have a really good look at what's going on with that oil leak. I think the very first thing I'm going to do is just use a chisel and give it a really good clean, because there's all sorts of crap under here. Just realised though, I'm going to be scraping this off, it's going to be coming down on top of me, so goggles would have been a good idea. Never mind. And now that we're underneath the van, you can sort of see how grimy it is under here. There's just years of build up under here. Right, look at that. Wow. So I'm going to give all of this a really good clean, and then hopefully the garage should be able to see where it's actually coming from. But there's oil all on this bit here, all under here. So yeah, this is going to take a little while. It's probably going to be a bit boring to film, so what I'll do, I'll use a little bit of camera trickery and just snap my fingers. So no, not perfect, but a hell of a lot better. And I think I've actually been able to identify where this leak is coming from. I think it's coming from here, and I don't think it's oil, because on there there's red liquid. Now that I've given the underside of the engine a really good clean, I'm more and more confident that it's not actually an oil leak. It's red fluid, so surely it has to be a coolant leak. I'm not 100% sure, but it still has to go to the garage, doesn't it, and then they can figure it out. But now that I've given it a really good clean under there, it's going to be easier for them to identify where the leak is actually coming from. It was a bit sketchy being under there, to say the least. I mean, it's not exactly the safest thing to do, but I did take a little bit of precaution. I did put my ramps up against the back wheels like that. It is in gear and the handbrake's on as well, so I did take a little bit of precaution. I'm not completely reckless, just a little bit. I just seem to be having a lot of problems with vans at the minute, and I can't seem to catch a break. But I think that's part of the parcel of being self-employed. You're not supposed to really get a break. The thing is as well, I've thought about giving up so many times. I think that's the easy decision though, that's the easy way out. A lot of people don't become self-employed because it's scary and it's hard and it's stressful, but it is worth it in the end. Like, I have to remind myself why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for a better life for myself. I want to be comfortable financially. I want to have time for my family and my friends and to travel. Nobody's going to give me that life. I have to go out and earn it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep going. And I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys as well. The support I've had from you guys has been absolutely incredible, and I just want to say thank you so much. So what's the plan? Well, the van obviously has to go into the garage regardless of what the leak is, because whether it's coolant, oil, brake fluid, I don't know, it needs sorting. I'm just hoping and praying it's not going to cost me too much money, because I don't really have any money. If you want to find out what happens to the van, what's wrong with it, how much it's going to cost me to get it on the road, you'll have to wait for part 3 that's going to be dropping very soon. So if you've enjoyed this video, consider dropping us a like and subscribing to the page as well. So as usual, if you've watched the video all the way through to the end, you're an absolute legend. Thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-da!